Good morning and welcome to the Return Homestead. My name is Mike and my wife Marty and I homestead 50 acres in southeastern Kentucky. Today we've got some big plans. We're going to be on the road. We've got some appointments up north. We got to get up to those, but before we get on the road, we wanted to take some time to walk around the garden, see how things are growing with all this rain we've been having, and see what kind of harvest we might already have. Come on with us. So Marty is busy working on, well, it's kind of a hodgepodge kind of plot. We've got squash growing in here, we've got beans, we've got sunflowers that are coming up, we've got some potatoes, and those are from a couple of years ago. They're still growing and we could actually get a harvest off of those, but they have those Colorado potato beetles, and so she's in here picking those beetles off, making sure we don't get a larger infestation than we already have. One other surprise that we had this year was that our fig came back. Now this is the fig tree that the goats attacked, and we were pretty sure this thing was going to be completely dead. When the springtime started, there was nothing of this tree left. It was just dead sticks coming out of the ground. But all of a sudden this thing has come back to life. So we're going to let it grow a little bit. We'll cut this back in the fall. And this year we'll be sure to cover it with some leaves before we head into winter. Just checking out the pear tree, trying to see if we got any fruit to set. Let's see one very diseased little attempt at fruit. I'll go ahead and pull that off of there because that is not going to continue to grow. I'm sure the chickens will enjoy it. So far, that's all I see. So maybe next year on the pears, the tree's growing well. It's extremely healthy. We've got comfrey growing at the base of the tree. This has been chopped and dropped several times and it's needing it again. So we need to get out here and cut this back, and we'll just lay it down like mulch around the tree. You need to watch yourself around the blackberries. These things have gone absolutely nuts. We probably should have tipped these canes to get them to spread out along the fence a little bit, but they were growing so healthily I hated to do too much to them. But they're getting a little bit too stiff now, and it's going to be hard to redirect them back into the trellis. But that would be the basic idea, is to either weave these back up through the trellis or to tip them, and that forces side branching to take place, and they'll pull themselves into the trellis. These are thornless, so you don't have to worry about getting stuck as you come by. And I did notice the wild blackberries are starting to ripen, and we've actually got some color started to come on these blackberries as well. And I did go through here a couple of weeks ago and cut back all of the grass and weeds that were growing in the middle to try to give some better ventilation down below. But as you can see, these blackberries are still growing. The rain has kept us out, and we've been unable to get out here and do any additional work. So we're just going to go ahead and let these things ripen as they are. Then we'll figure out how we're going to weave our way in here to get them harvested. One of the things we've really enjoyed this year has been the blueberries. We've gotten quite a few. This is still not a true blueberry harvest. We're looking for gallons of blueberries, and so far we're only getting cups of blueberries. But we've got some really big plump blueberries that are coming out on these bushes now. I'm just hopeful that the bush itself will grow and get us a little bit of size so that next year perhaps we get a little bit larger harvest. So this is a peach tree we planted just last season. It is growing healthily. It looks like we may need to make a small adjustment in the tension here just to try to keep it growing straight up. We had a small peach that was growing on it, surprisingly. It wasn't going to go anywhere, and it looks like it's fallen off now, but this tree is looking healthy and growing well. We're real pleased with it. So this is our other peach tree. It is actually 2 seasons old, and we didn't see a whole lot of flowers that set fruit. And so we did get a lot of flowers on the tree this spring, but it was still pretty early, and I think the cold may have gotten those flowers, so we didn't get any fruit set on this tree this year. But it is growing healthily, and that's really what we want at this point. Eventually we'll get a good fruit harvest off of it. So this is another one of our Hodge-Podge beds that's also being taken over by weeds, but that's just a little bit of effort to get in here and pull those out. So far we've had, 2 days without rain, so we're finally getting to get in the garden and we'll make some good progress on it. We do have some potatoes growing in here as well as some kohlrabi. I believe, isn't this where you planted the onions?
Yes.
So Marty's just put some onion sets in the ground in here, so we should be getting onions coming up here. And again, the comfrey, it's just going crazy. It needs another chop and drop. What else you got growing in here?
Cabbage.
You got some cabbage in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's cabbage and bok choy. The purple bok choy is going to seed right next to your knees.
Oh yeah, the purple bok choy.
So it's not going to produce. It just got too hot too fast.
So we went from springtime to rain time to suddenly it's hot out here, and things like bok choy don't enjoy that. They do like it a little bit cooler. So we'll try again in the fall. Maybe we'll be able to pull some heads then. So we're really pleased with the growth that we see in this particular row. These are bell peppers that are growing on this end, and we have been harvesting some bell peppers. Those are marigolds growing on the outside. That helps to keep the bugs down inside of the peppers. I do see quite a bit of flowers here on the pepper plants, so they're doing exceptionally well. We're starting to get some good size on these peppers as well. And then we've got some hot banana peppers starting down at this end of the row. Everything looks like it's growing well. Don't see any evidence of disease despite all the rain that we've been having. Now they are a little bit yellowed right now. They're usually a much darker green color. I think that's just from all the excessive rain we've been getting. And right at the end of the row, we have, a mulberry tree that is completely out of control at this point. This fall, we're going to have to get in here and cut this thing down. It is absolutely taking over this end of the garden at the moment. We've been pulling a few mulberries off of the tree. There haven't been a whole lot on there, but they're starting to gain some size. So we're looking forward to a good harvest out of these in the years to come. And that brings us to the saga of the apple tree that went over in the storm, 2 years ago now. And we stood it back up just a little while ago. We decided if it was going to grow laying on the ground, then we just needed to give it an opportunity to stand up again, see if it wanted to be okay. It's tried to fall over one more time, but we've got it well tied up now. And part of it does seem to be still growing. We took all the weight off of the top of it, and hopefully that's going to allow this tree to recover. I don't know, we'll see next year. Okay. Our tomato row is looking good. We do need to get in here and tie some of these vines up. We've got some weed fabric down that's doing a decent enough job keeping the weeds down. We did get a little bit of blight that got started, and the blight's just going to be because of the rain splashing up from the ground. There's not a lot of way to avoid that when you've got as much rain falling as we've been having. But we did come out and treat with a little bit of a copper fungicide, and that seems to have knocked things down a little bit. So we've got a few plants that look like they're struggling with that blight some. We may end up having to take those plants out. But mostly this row is looking pretty healthy. We've even got some tomatoes that are starting to blush down here. These are going to be Amish paste and the pink oxheart growing in here. This little mulberry tree started off really strong in the spring, and then it got hit with a bit of frost, and it looked like the thing was dead. We were sure we were going to be digging the root out, and then all of a sudden it just decided to spring up. And with all the rain we've been having, it seems very happy now. So we've got plenty of additional growth on this. Again, we'll need to thin this out quite a bit when we get into the fall time so that we don't have too much growth on it. We want to be able to control the shape of the plant, try to grow it into one stem, especially here in the middle of the garden. If we let it spread out like the other one, it's going to choke out all the other plants.
What's this?
So all of these little purple flowers are from Marti's sage. You've harvested quite a bit of this already this year.
I have.
So the sage is out here to be a savory herb. We can use it for that, but it also helps to keep the insects away. Absolutely lovely smell to this stuff. It's very similar to Nepeta. I love the smell of the flowers, and of course, if you've ever had turkey at Thanksgiving that's been rubbed down with sage, you know what this stuff tastes like. Absolutely an amazing herb, and as you can see, extremely easy to grow. And this elderberry is not only already starting to set berries, so we've got some of the flowerets that are producing berries, but we've also got lots more flowers still coming on this thing. We probably should have done some pruning on this last fall. I know Marti took quite a few cuttings off of this. She's been spreading this particular plant all over the property, and you can see why. It is absolutely massive this year. We're going to get more elderberries off of this than we can possibly use. We'll probably have to share those out with the neighbors, and we've got a whole bunch more of these that are coming in. So, right in between the two elderberries, we've also planted a honey locust tree. Now, the locusts are good nitrogen fixers, so they help to fix the nitrogen in the soil to make it available to other plants. So we've planted it with the elderberry so that it can help feed them. And this is sort of the idea of the food forest. We have a tree that supports other trees that support the smaller life on the outside of it. The other one. Then we have some fennel that was actually in the garden last year. It's just continued to produce again this year. This stuff is absolutely delicious. It's just got a very sweet licoricey flavor. And we've got probably going to get some bulbs off of these this year. Do you know if this one will bulb?
It should, yes.
So we should get some large bulbs out here. Just a fascinating plant with all the different colors and different shapes that the leaves and stems will take. And yeah, it really does taste really good. And we are getting a few cucumbers off of these small vines. I would like to see some additional growth in these. I think the rain has stunted them a little bit. You see we've got this kind of pale yellow leaf thing going on at the base of the plants. And I think they're just getting a little too watered. Once it dries up and we catch a little bit of heat, these ought to take off. We've already been eating some of the cucumbers, and they are still producing even though the plants aren't very large size. There's one that got hidden down in the mulch there. So that one's going to be a little bit large. So definitely not going to be able to pickle that one. It's a little fat to fit in the jar, but we should be able to eat that. And here's another one that's right about perfect pickling size.
Awesome.
We've been really anxious to get a lot of squash this year, so we've got squash planted all over the place. This one in particular is, well, I'm not really sure what to call it. We lived on Pinrose Lane in Nevada, and so we called this a Pinrose squash. It's actually a cross between two other squashes. We couldn't tell you exactly which ones. We suspect it's a cross between a zucchini and a pineapple squash, so it has the outside skin of the pineapple squash. It has that pale green color, but it has a texture and flavor a lot like zucchini. So that's kind of cool. We've been able to keep those seeds going, and we've got this growing here in Kentucky now. And these are the squash plants that we've been doing the most work on, trying to keep the weeds down around them, get them tied into a trellis so that we can make sure we have good airflow underneath. These zucchini plants are already producing. We've got quite a few little zucchinis on right now. And some of these other squash are later season squash. So we're just waiting on them to put on some size, and eventually we'll be able to get some good fruit off of those. We have Delicatas, and we've got some lemon squash, and I think Marti's just planted
Zucchino.
The Zucchino replicante. Those are those big, long, swirly squash that you've seen us grow in years past. We love those squash, so we're looking forward to those getting up on the trellis. This is one of the reasons we're using elderberry for increasing our food forest quickly. This is only 1 year worth of growth. So last year, Marti took sticks off of the other plants and just shoved the sticks in the ground, and this is what it looks like a year later. These sweet potatoes are doing well so far. We've got some vining taking place. It really hasn't been hot enough for the sweet potatoes yet. As the temperature's just starting to come up, I expect to see these start to take off. They will completely dominate this area, but it looks like we need to get in here and do a quick weed on them before they start growing out of control here. While you're busy putting food in your garden, don't forget about the pollinators that need to come by in order to help you make that food. So make sure you've got plenty of flowers in the garden. These are Rebecca, typically referred to as a Mexican daisy because of the bright orange and yellow flowers, and they're all a little bit different. We enjoy them because they grow so prolifically, and they'll continue to produce flowers throughout the entire summer. They leave behind these little seed heads, and all we do is come by and pop these seed heads off when they're all nice and dried out, and then you just walk around and spread those seeds out, and they'll come back year after year in the same place. And finally, we're getting some growth out of this grapevine. This was a grape we picked up at Walmart the first year that we were here. We didn't have high hopes for it, and it's taken a while for the roots to really set in, but as you can see, we're getting some good growth on it this year. Perhaps next year we'll have a strong enough root we'll be able to get some decent fruit off of this. Of course, we're going to have to build a trellis. Just to stick in the ground is not going to be enough to hold that.
And now we're into the herb garden. This is mullein, and normally I will harvest the flowers to make a tea out of. It's really good for your respiratory system. You can harvest the leaves, the stems, any part of this plant you can use medicinally. It is biennial. It doesn't bloom until the second year, which is what that means. And this is called Aaron's Rod. Now, each one of these seeds that grow after the flower has hundreds of seeds in it. And basically what I do is I pick these leaves, and they're starting to get tough now. You want them when they're kind of soft. They do have hair on them, and they're full of mucilage, which is what coats your esophagus. So you take these leaves, you dry them out completely. You can put them in vodka and let them sit for 6 weeks and make a tincture out of it. I put a dropper full of this in my tea every morning. This is my marshmallow plant. Now, if you've watched any of our other videos, you'll know that they used to actually make marshmallows out of this. It has a really syrupy sap in it that they used to refine and make the marshmallows out of. They don't do that anymore. Marshmallows are usually made out of corn syrup. Not good for you. The part of this plant, it's part of the okra family, so it's got a flower on it just like okra. And the part you want to use is the root. Now, you don't have to be afraid of digging these plants up. If any of the root stays in the ground, it will come up. So it's the root you want to take, the root you want to grind up. You can put it in a capsule, you can make a tincture out of it, either way. Good for the respiratory system. Back here we have calendula that's coming up. Calendula, also medicinal. I make salves out of it. But when the flowers go to seed, I just grab the seeds off and sprinkle them everywhere. That way I have always got calendula. It's in the same family as a marigold, so it grows super easy. 3 full-size apple trees. These are mature trees that should be producing fruit every year. We've had some difficulties with the apple cedar rust. This year everything is going well. We've got some fruit on this tree, which is the first year we're seeing it. I've been told by neighbors that this is actually an heirloom apple. We're not sure what variety, but looking at the shape of these small apples, it does look like it probably is heirloom. Yes. Look at all the apples. Holy cow.
And then up front, we've got 2 more apple trees. They are 2 different varieties. This one is absolutely loaded. We've got tons of these tiny little apples hanging all over the tree. I am starting to see some evidence of some possibly apple cedar rust. It's not the same color as we normally see. This could just be another fungus. We may need to hit this with copper fungicide just to knock this down and make sure that it's not the apple cedar rust. Hopefully we're going to get a decent harvest off of this year. And so all of that we've been showing you is sort of our 1-year plan. That's the sort of the mid-range goals that we have. Each week we've got short-range goals, different plants that we want to make sure we take care of, harvests that we want to do, and also the preparations to put everything into the pantry. You see Marti was just doing the spicy carrots that she just put up. So we're always looking for those short-term plans and then the mid-range plans, which would be about the 1 year, looking towards the harvest. And today we've also got some work we need to do on our long-range plans, the 5 to 10-year plans. So we've got a trip we do need to make, so we're going to have to get on the road up north to take a look at what we're going up there to see. It's something maybe we'll tell you guys about here in another couple of weeks. We do appreciate you joining us here on the Return Homestead. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please take a moment to do so. And while you've got that window open, hit the thumbs up icon. That's going to let the algorithm know you enjoyed the video, and they'll share it out with more people. We'll see you next time.